Oh, there we go.
Back and good.
All right, we back. Sorry about the
back.
blip, y'all. Sorry about the blip. We back.
We back. Let's go.
But the last one, I already know we taking LaMelo over DeJounte, so we're not even gonna say LaMelo or DeJounte. Kyle Lowry or DeJounte Murray?
Oh, DeJounte. Go with DeJounte.
And then I think you took Cade over DeJounte, right?
Yeah.
All right, last one is Darius Garland or DeJounte Murray.
I would take Garland.
Ooh, I would take Garland too.
Yeah, I would take Garland.
Cool. That was the last one, man. We can hop into the East. We're covering the East, the Eastern Conference today with the NBA.
Yep. Eastern Conference. So we'll break it down into sections. Teams that were outside the playoffs. Then we'll focus in on the play-in teams, and then kind of look at the top six. But before we, just to kind of help us move along. But is there any interesting moves that happened within the Eastern Conference that you want to talk about before we get into those?
Malcolm Brogdon to the Celtics.
No.
Malcolm Brogdon to the Celtics. To me, that was huge. That was a huge move for them.
I like that one. I do like that one. I think within the playoff teams, I think Miami keeping Victor Oladipo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think them keeping Victor Oladipo is going to be huge. I know people are trying to find Jimmy another guard beside him that can score, but Victor coming in late in the year, kind of getting his feet under him. I think a year with them being under his wing and being able to come back, I think that's going to help benefit himself and Miami. So, finish with the 1 seed, man. There's definitely a 3-point shot away, man, from going to the finals, man.
Facts.
So for Jimmy Butler, so that was definitely close, man. That was definitely close. It's still very tough to kind of look at when you look at Milwaukee losing Middleton in the Boston series. And I mean, we all said it, losing Middleton for that entire series, it was an uphill fight for Milwaukee. And for them to still push Boston to 7 was almost like, yeah, man, if Middleton was there, they would have took that in 6.
Oh, yeah.
Like that. Yeah, so.
Oh, yeah. And that was having no Middleton the whole series.
The whole series. Because we all said before Milwaukee, then we was like, oh, Middleton's out the whole series. It's like, oh, that's Boston. But it was like, was it Boston in 6 or was it Boston in 7? Because you can't have him out for the whole series and think that you can hold that down. But I'm very, very proud of Boston for how they grew, how they came about. A lot of people wrote them off. We didn't write them off. We saw the ascension coming from them. So again, I'm very glad for what they did there, just as a team. And it was just kind of crazy. You had a 2-1 lead on the Warriors, and you just experience and everything just folded you. Like you just could not put it together after that. So I hope that I don't think it was a lightning in a bottle. I do think they are a threat to remain in the East for the next couple years. We'll be looking at them like that. So
I think as long as they continue to refrain from trading Jaylen Brown for a rental of essentially what KD would be, which I don't think Brad Stevens is really going to make that trade. I think he's really just trying to test the waters to see what can I get away with to possibly get KD. I hope they don't get KD. To me, that doesn't make sense. That still makes Milwaukee the better team.
Yeah.
But another under-the-radar move, I think, was PJ Tucker to the 76ers.
I'm actually not high on that move at all.
No?
Nah. When you told me PJ Walker went to Miami, oh, that means something. When you told me PJ Walker went to the Bucks, you're like, to these other teams, that meant something. PJ Walker going to the 76ers just doesn't move me because I think we've seen the best basketball out of him that we're going to get.
That's true. I also think going over there, I think he's going to have the same role that he had in Miami. He's going to have the same role that he had.
Yes, same role, same exact role.
I mean, I don't think, because if I'm looking at Tobias Harris, he's essentially taking the load off of Tobias Harris. He's taking the
Yeah.
load off of a James Harden. And now, instead of having to hope that Tobias Harris could lock down a KD and still perform in the offensive end, that's what I think that's where the 76ers saw the biggest drop off last year.
I mean, we saw PJ play with Harden before, and granted, it's
Over in
Harden and
Houston.
Embiid. Yeah, granted, it's Harden and Embiid. It's still like you being added to that team. It doesn't move me as I think the assumption is to move. I still think you're, behind these other teams. More so off of play style in health. I still think you're behind the other teams. So it doesn't like, it's a good move. I understand the move, but it just doesn't move me to be like, oh yeah, I should favor you guys in the East because PJ Tucker came.
Yeah.
Like I don't think so.
I don't think there was a lot of teams that really got too much better per se.
No.
I think some teams did make some, some pretty big moves. I don't think anybody really got better though.
Yeah,
aside
I
from
know.
maybe the Celtics, I like the Celtics move because now they can sit Marcus Smart at the 2, which I think
Yeah.
he's better. I think that was like the ultimate with them bringing over Dennis Schroeder last year. It was like, cool, Schroeder can start, Marcus slide to the 2. Now they can really have Marcus Smart slide to the 2. Malcolm
Yeah.
Brogdon, we see that, we seen he knows how to facilitate an offense. I think that's going to be one of the biggest things for that team.
Yeah. I like the Brogdon move, but it's for me. It's just the experience. I think it's just the experience on coaching and playing. The turnovers and the shot selection just murdered them down the line,
Oh
and
yeah,
that's what murdered them down the line, and it just really killed them. So I do think adding Brogdon helps to level that out, but it still has to be the consistent play that's going to come from Tatum and Brown, which is going to be the ceiling of this team. Marcus Smart is who he is. He's going to be a defensive dog around the perimeter. And kind of, I mean, how much longer can we expect Al Horford to keep up? I know Rob Will is a defensive monster down there, but Al Horford, he was the glue 14 for a good portions and
yeah.
parts of their playoff run. So I kind of figure like maybe if they could add another kind of perimeter defensive wing, that would help them kind of really take this team to be like, yo, these are clear favorites out here.
Yeah. I think next year we're going to see a pretty big leap on the offensive end. Not necessarily scoring, but from a facilitation role from the big, from Robert Williams. I think he's a very, very underrated passer. We already know he eats on the boards, but I think the way he can pass the ball, I think is gonna kind of raise his ceiling next year, and I think that's gonna take the Celtics hopefully to the next level. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt bad for the Bulls. Because they was top of the East until everybody started getting hurt. Until everybody start getting hurt. Now I don't think they're it wouldn't. I don't feel like a healthy Bulls team would have been an easy like a conference finals team, but I do definitely think they would have had a better seeding and not have found themselves matched up with the Bucks in the first round. So I'll be very interested in seeing how the second year team of the Bulls coming back together, healthy Patrick Williams. I'm kind of starting to really like Dalen Terry, the rookie that they picked up. Seeing how Zach LaVine and DeRozan and Vooch, because he kind of dropped off there, I felt like a little bit, how they kind of put themselves together going into the second year with this. They're kind of the level team out of this where you're kind of like, okay, we know this is going to be a good team. They should be a playoff team just off of,
and they picked
Caruso.
up Andre Drummond too.
Yeah, so this is kind of one of the teams I feel like I feel like this team is the line in the East for being over your contender, under you're just not good enough. I feel like they are the line in the East
Like
that will look at
the 6-7 seed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do think they're a hell of a regular season team.
Yeah,
I think just like last year, staying if they're healthy and all that, they're gonna tear people up in the regular season. So I could see them, surprisingly enough, maybe being the 4-3 seed, even higher than that. But yeah, I want to see them healthy because I don't like seeing nobody hurt, but I definitely want to see them healthy so we can get a real look at how this team could have been. And I want to see how Lonzo really shows up in the playoffs too. Like I want to see how that works for the team.
Yeah. The Knicks added
So
Jalen Brunson, which to me was just more of a let's go get a guy. Let's go get a guard. If you look at the Knicks history, New York history, they always gotta have him a guard. They gotta have him a guard that just score the rock. And I think they got that in Jalen Brunson, but it's not a move that like changes anything for them.
It doesn't move nothing to me. Like it doesn't move nothing with the Knicks because even adding Jalen Brunson is like, okay, you added a good guard. But I mean, where is Jalen Brunson in the ranking of point guards?
Especially in the East. Especially in the East.
Yeah, especially even in the East, but like you're not a top 15 point guard in the league. Now, granted, there's a lot of good point guards. So being top 15, 20 is good. I've seen people really try to take this sample size of what he did against Utah and be like, yo, this dude can be projected to be, at least a borderline top 15 point guard in the league. And I'm like, well, there's also Jason Kidd over there helping coach Dallas. Like now you're going to Tibbs, and Tibbs is not Jason Kidd. And we don't give Tibbs any props around here. You're not going to look like what you think you were. The Knicks will be dependent on the leap of RJ Barrett. The leap of RJ Barrett. Like Julius Randle is who he is. Jalen Brunson is who he is. I think he's a good point guard, not a great one. I don't know how much is going to – right now you're looking at a backcourt of what? Jalen Brunson and Quentin Grimes.
Manuel Quickly.
Yeah, Manuel Quickly, Quentin Grimes. Like it's – we don't know what to do with that lineup. Yeah, they brought back Mitchell Robinson, the first rookie drafted by the Knicks in a long time to get a second contract. So it's all like the Knicks projection is all based upon a leap of who RJ Barrett can really become this year. Can he become a one? Is he going to be a two-way type of player? Can he ascend to a Jalen Brunson-ish, not Jalen Brunson, Jalen Brown-ish level of really being a two-way type of guy? So like that's kind of how I look at the Knicks. But even when you look at the total of the East, it's like everybody, Hornets 43 wins, Cavs 44 wins, Atlanta 43 wins, Brooklyn 44 wins. And they went a lot of the year hurt. And then after that, everybody outside of the playoff picture was 37, 35, 25, 23, 22. Like there was a gap. Like there was a gap in how these teams were compared to the rest of them. And I don't see what happened this offseason changing it that much of what the league could look like. I'm really trying to ask myself, removing the Nets and everything that's going on with KD and Kyrie in that front office, how much does DeJounte Murray going to the Hawks move this roster? Does this become a top 6 seed? Is this still a play-in team at best? Like, what are we really looking at with Atlanta? And the Cavs came out of nowhere. Like, or did we look at a lightning in a bottle type thing with the Cavs? Or are they really a playoff team? Like, I mean, this is some of the questions that I'm asking myself when I look at the 7, 8, 9, and 10 seeds. Like right now, Xing out the Nets between just the Hawks. How much does DeJounte Murray move this Atlanta Hawks team?
We'll get to the Hawks. We'll start with the outside looking in. Everybody from last year outside looking in, right? That is the Knicks, the Wizards, the Pacers, and the Pistons, and the Magic.
Okay.
Right. So we'll start there, and then we'll move in because I think the Hawks will fall into that play-in category, right? The Hornets, the Cavs, and the Hawks, and then we'll go into who was locked in. And for those of y'all watching, this is based on how they ended last season. This is kind of how we're breaking it down. We're starting from the bottom and going up. So those teams from the outside looking in. The Pistons, the Magics, the Cavs,
the Wizards,
the Pacers, the Magic. If I'm looking at last year's record, it's the Pistons, the Magic, the Cavs, the Raptors, the Bulls. That was the outside looking in.
So I thought the Knicks, Wizards, Pacers, Pistons, and Magic, those were the bottom teams.
No, the ones that didn't even make the playoffs?
Well, I got play-in on a different bubble. I got the ones that didn't even make the play-in at all.
Because play-in last year was Hornets, Pacers, Wizards, Celtics.
No, you're on the wrong one. You're on 2011.
2020. Yeah, you're right. So Magic, Pistons, Pacers, Wizards, Knicks. So
So
we're
yeah, let's
starting
start
with
from there.
the
Let's start
with
from
the
there.
Magic as the worst team from last year.
Okay, so Magic, number one overall draft pick, Moncaro.
Yep.
Really don't make any other moves outside of that. I think Terrence Ross, they said they are going to get rid of him eventually.
Yeah.
So what do you think the adding of Moncaro does to the Orlando Magic?
Nothing. Nothing. It's okay. Maybe not nothing, right? I don't want to say nothing as if they did absolutely nothing. But if I'm looking at this team and adding Paolo, right? He's your starting power forward at best. Wendell Carter's at the 5. Franz Wagner's upcoming. Jalen Suggs, Markelle Fultz coming back healthy, assuming that he'll be their starting guy. I think they have a whole lot of potential in adding him. But
Yep.
as far as from this year over the next 2 to 3 years, I just don't see them making the leap with their current roster and evolving. They got a lot of young guys. They got RJ Hampton on the bench. They got Mo Bamba, Chuma Okeke, Gary Harris, who's kind of like their elder statesman when he ain't even been in the league that long. Cole Anthony. They have a very, very, very young roster, but I think Paolo doesn't really move them up too far, maybe a 13, 14 seed. They're going to win some games solely off of athleticism, solely off of, youth. But I don't think Paolo moves the needle for them in the next 2 years. I think we'll see the evolution of him.
I think they have to move off of somebody.
They have to move out
I
of
think,
Jalen
yeah,
Suggs. I'm
I
sticking with
think they have
Jalen
to
Suggs
move.
like we talked about
Yeah,
last year.
but and we talked about, we did talk about that last year, and we said that just wasn't the right thing to do. But you've invested capital, and at some point, you have to commit to one of these guards in Suggs, Anthony, or Fultz, or you have to move them out the way and go find a guard that can tailor fit to what they're doing. Because right now, I mean, like, Jonathan Isaac's been very injured, but he's a very versatile defender.
Mm-hmm.
So like the Magic can do some things defensively, you know, Carter, Franz, Isaac, Boncaro, and Suggs, like lineups. Like that could be like some crazy lineups defensively, what they try to do with that length and athleticism on the defensive side of the ball. But like offensively, if you're really gonna hope that I think Boncaro is a good passer. I don't think he's the guy you run your offense through. I think Franz is a good passer. I don't think he's the guy you run your offense through. So it's like you have to begin to find that initiator for this team. Now,
I think they're hoping that Jalen
it, I,
Suggs will be that. They're
from
hoping
what
that he is.
it almost seems like they're more ready to make Cole the 6 man and then Fultz and Suggs the 1-2 pairing in the backcourt. And then having Isaac and the rest of them kind of fill in with I think taking Boncaro one was the best thing they could have done
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because it at least their forwards were more defensive, spot up forwards playing off. Boncaro can initiate. He can make some plays off the dribble, isolate type thing. I think he really is the favorite to be rookie of the year to me. Clear. I think that's easy. But it's Mo Bamba. They picked up Bobo on the contract. So I'm kind of asking myself, like, I think this year they're going to be really experimenting with who they can have to help initiate this offense in the guards.
And who's going
And
to
I don't
stay?
think, and I don't think, folks' history just shows me he's really not going to be there. So I would rather him have limited minutes and role and be the 6 man because he is effective when he's on the court. But
Yeah.
then you play him these minutes and he's just not going to be there. So I'd rather just limit what he could do so I can have him for 82 instead of trying to push him 30, 32 minutes a game for ADC. I'd rather give him 16 to 20 and call it a day.
I think the Magic. I think the Magic find a way to free up some time for RJ Hampton. RJ Hampton is a hell of a guard, hell of a
But
point
they
guard.
also got, but
And I
they
mean, I
got a
think
lot
I
of
think they
money
go out
next
there
year.
and show. They go and show Markelle Fultz like, you look, he's healthy. First 15
Yeah.
games, he's good. He's out here, he's doing it. They find a way to trade him, get off of him, bring back some capital in whether that be future trades or future draft picks, second round.
Yeah.
It's a great turn, right?
Yeah.
If you could trade Markelle
Yep.
Fultz for 2 second-round picks, that's a great return. And then you move
Yep.
Cole Anthony to your starting point guard and bring RJ Hampton to be your 6 man off the bench. That
No,
to
you're
me
right.
is
You're
best
right.
scenario.
So, and that's, I still think they're in. I still think at the end of this year, the Magic will be on the outside looking in, I think if we do get a rookie of the year out of Boncaro and we do continue to see Franz grow, it'll really be on Jalen Suggs and what he can do as a guard. If he's going to be, can he initiate, or is he a combo guard who probably needs to be beside somebody who can initiate? So I've seen the last couple of days, uh, the Magic will have money and they are interested in Jordan Poole. So I'm asking myself, the Warriors are allowed to go into the tax. They're allowed to go into the tax, right? But next summer they got to pay Dre, Wiggins, and Poole. So they're pretty much gonna let Poole go find his contract and just be, oh, well, we can match it because he's still restricted.
Yeah.
So we both agree that the Magic will still be on the outside looking in. I agree with your take. They got to find somebody. So what do you think if at the end of this year we go, okay, Banchero's a rookie of the year. Jalen Suggs is who we thinks he is. He's not a lead guard. He's a good two-way combo guard. We probably got to find somebody beside him. Do you think in the offseason a Jordan Poole coming to this team with a backcourt of Poole and Suggs and Fultz or Cole, whichever one is there or not there, do you think a backcourt of Poole, Suggs, Wagner, Banchero, and Carter? Do you take that in the 2023 as a Magic fan?
I don't think you have a choice. If you can bring in a Jordan Poole with finals experience, coming from a winning culture, you can bring a guy like that in and pair him with a Banchero, pair him with whether it be Jalen Suggs, whether it be Cole Anthony, whoever's there. If you can bring a guy like that in with the Franz Wagner who's going into year 3, year 4, that's almost your best. That's your best scenario. That makes them next year at the very, very best. If they play out of their mind in 2 years, not next year, but the following year, that makes them
But
right
that's
at the bubble of a play-in. Right at the bubble of a
yeah,
play-in.
yeah, I can see that too. I do think Poole's a good guard. I'm trying to ask myself, do I think maybe am I undermining him, or is he really who he is, just playing beside Steph and Clay and Dre? And he's gonna get to another team and just level off because he doesn't have this support and casting. You go from being a support guy to being a guy who, hey, I need support. I got to help lead with the rest of these guys.
Because I think all those games that Steph was hurt, he averaged like 19, 20 points a game. He played great ball. But you also have to look at the system. You have to look at the situation. But I think Jordan Poole, Jordan Poole is going to be the opposite of what we see with Christian Wood. Christian Wood's a great performer on a bad team. Jordan Poole is a really good performer on a really, really good team. So I think it's almost the opposite effect of what we've seen with Christian Wood over with Houston.
Yeah. I'm excited to see, like I said, I got my odds on favorite Banchero to get a rookie of the year. I think the Magic will probably go out their way to make sure that he gets that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they're going to go out his way to make sure that he gets that. So I also think Jonathan Isaac will be out of there.
Yeah.
I think there's gonna be a team who could use him, and I think he's gonna be out of there. So I could definitely see that coming through the course this year.
I see him going to like a Milwaukee for depth.
Yeah.
If you look at Milwaukee's getting old. We'll get to them eventually.
Yeah. They got to start to find ways to retool also.
Next team finished 14th. Outside looking, it was the Detroit Pistons. Key additions for them was drafting Jaden Ivey.
Jalen Duren,
John Morant comparisons.
Yeah.
Whole lot of that out there.
Jalen Duren.
Yep.
They got out the draft.
They got Nerlens Noel off of not getting his extension over there in New York, getting a re-up over there.
Yep.
But I mean, outside of that, and I think they got Alec Burks.
Yep.
Also off of the New York.
Yep. Man, they made some good moves. Like, I feel like being able to luck up and to get Jaden and to get Duren, I feel like on top of already having growing players like Sadiq, K's the truth, Isaiah Stewart. So it's like this team is going to be one of probably the most exciting teams. I think we're going to see nights where they're just going to show bright flashes of what this whole team could do together. And then there's going to be the woes, but like, man, this is the team who I'm like, this roster in 2023 will be like, all right, this team is here and
Oh
ready to
yeah.
rise quick, man.
Oh yeah.
Because man, like so, Killian Hayes, I think he's going to find his role eventually, probably as more like their sixth man, if not being moved. But like the backcourt of Cade and Ivy in the future is just going to be absolutely crazy, bro. When I
Yeah.
look at that together, man,
I'm gonna
like
be
that was
real
the
with you,
best case
man.
scenario for Pistons fans, man.
I look at this team very similar in how we looked at the Grizzlies 2 years ago.
Yeah,
That's how I look at this team. Right? You got a
no, this really is.
Sadiq Bey, who's basically your 3-and-D guy, 3-and-D specialist. You can go out there and attempt to lock up your best player. Jaden Ivey, firecracker in a bottle, right? We haven't seen him in the NBA yet, but we've seen what he can do in college. Cade Cunningham, 6'6" point guard. He went off last year. Marvin Bagley, greatest situation for him to move away from the Kings and come over to this team to play next to a guy like Isaiah Stewart. I think this team, like you said, man, 2023, this team could look real, real good. Still got them around playing, solid playing team. With looking at the decline of these other teams. But.
Yeah, this team flashing, they could definitely fight their way into a playing situation. I'm not shocked. I'm like super high on Cade. I think his game is just all around clean, man. And his ceiling is crazy. Really could show like arguments of like being like, hey, I'm a top guard in this league, man. I think he can do everything on the court. So him taking the leap that I think he should take, and the pieces around, man, this team definitely would not shock me as a play-in team. And I'm like 2023, we're gonna be like, yo, the Pistons are here, bro. Because in 2023, the Nets will be dismantled in some way, type of form. So someone's going to have to take their spot, and the Pistons will be there, man. But I would not be shocked. I would not be shocked at all if Cade has an All-Star year this year. I think there is potential for Cade to have an All-Star year this year. I wouldn't be shocked. I think Ivy's definitely going to be an All-Rookie first team.
Yeah.
Jalen Duren, I think he's going to be one of the highlight guys. I don't expect him to be like extremely impactful this year, as I know that he will be towards the future.
Okay.
But like, yeah, but
I definitely. Is it a reach to say that Cade Cunningham could be your guy or the guy for the most improved next year? Because he ended last year 17, 5 and 5.
Yeah.
64 games played.
Yeah, I definitely think he's one of the people who I got for most improved. Like I said, I'm almost locking him into an all-star spot. I don't think he would have that much support to like give him an all NBA nod. But I'm telling you, like he's one of the dudes we're gonna look back at come February All-Star break time. Like, yo, Cade's crazy. Like I got a lot of stock in the Cade. I really think he's like that.
Cool. Next team.
Really do.
Outside looking in was the Indiana Pacers, finished at 25-57. Some notable moves for them is they picked up Halliburton before the trade deadline.
Halliburton for the trade deadline.
Who else?
Their draft pick, Benedict Mathurin. Their draft pick, Benedict Mathurin. I do think eventually Buddy's gonna be moved. And I do think eventually Miles will probably be up out of here. Because they've said that they want to go full rebuild. But I do believe that Mathurin and Halliburton are their backcourt of the future. And I look at Tyrese Halliburton like I look at Mike Conley was. I think he's the good to great all-around guard in every area, no weakness in his game. And he's the line of like, if you're over him, you got to be the elite of the elite. If you're under him, you're good. But he's going to be that borderline last line of the great guards. Dude started to snap when he got over to Indiana, man. And I think very highly of his game. Plays both sides of the court. Funky shot, but he shoots a good clip.
Yeah.
Benedict Mathurin, their draft pick, Sixers guard, who had that LeBron quote where everybody says he's great. I got to see. So I do kind of have a salty view of him because I want to see how he performs.
Coming out bold with that.
I do think, because remember, they picked up Chris Duarte last year. Chris Duarte snapped early last year.
That's what I like.
I
think Mathurin moves to the 3.
Yeah.
and Duarte finds a
He's
way to be the starting two guard.
yeah. He snapped early last year, then he tapered off. So I think Duarte should get the nod to start. I think Matherin will eventually work his way into that lineup. Uh, but yeah, man, this Isaiah Jackson played good for them, I believe, towards the end of the year last year. So I do think that Buddy and Miles could be moved just to clear space. But I, when I look at this team, I'm really looking at Halliburton, and I really want to see what type of move they make to see who they bring in to pair with them or how they try to address it in the offseason.
I hope they give Jalen Smith a chance. I really like Jalen Smith. They picked him up
That's what's in.
from Phoenix. And,
Yeah.
last year I think he, career year, 17 points a game when he did play.
Yeah.
I think he played like 20, 30-something games.
Yep.
13 points a game.
And that's what I think. I think they
7
feel.
rebounds, 5 assists.
I think they feel that they might feel overstuffed at the big position with Turner, Jalen, and Jackson. So I think they feel like they might be a little crowded and try to find a way to move off of at least Miles. But Miles been on the block forever, bro. Yeah, it's very tough to see like a team actually wanting to get ready to move off of him.
All right, that moves us to the Washington Wizards. Our resident TTE exile Booch Kofi's team finished last year 13th. 12th. 35 and 47. Just under 500. Yeah, they re-upped with Bradley Beal. I'm a little surprised about that, but then I'm not. Monty Morris is their starting point guard this year. They got him over from Denver. Had a pretty decent career over in Denver. They also got Will Barton over from Denver. Kyle Kuzma and Kristaps Porzingis in a midseason trade with the Dallas Mavericks. So
this is like a very wing to two guardish heavy team.
Mm-hmm.
Avdia, Kuzma, Kispert, Rui, Gill, even Daniel Gafford, Johnny Davis, who I think Johnny Davis is probably who will eventually see them trying to fit in beside Bill at some point in the year. I do think so. I know he carried a big offensive load in Wisconsin. You're not going to have to do that with Bill. Who is it? God dang it. So Porzingis, Kuzma, and Bill are essentially supposed to lead this team. Like that's kind of the tagline with the Wizards. They are bringing back the old Age of Zero jerseys, and them was fire. I like them. The white with the navy, so that and the gold. So that's dope. I understand bringing back Bill because there was really no return or benefit to the team to not bring him back.
Yeah.
There really wasn't.
I don't think they were really going to find a trade that made sense for them for future sake. They know they're not going to be good over the next few years.
Nah.
And I think Beal has accepted that too.
Yeah. So I that's why I'm like, I can see. So there's no reason with players like a Kuzma, like a Bill, like a Porzingis, to where you could say, well, we shouldn't be a horrible team. So when I look at this roster, I'm kind of like, well, what's going to make this team a good team? Like, what can make them a play-in team? Like, what can push them into there? And just kind of asking myself, like, well, does Denny or Rui take a next step? Like, which I don't think is in their game. I don't think that's in their DNA. Like, do I think Johnny Davis is that type of guy? Not in year one. I don't think him having some 16 points a game, 7 assists type rookie year is going to move this roster. So I don't.
If anyone takes that leap, it's going to have to be Denny. Denny's going to have to do that takes the leap.
Yeah.
To be able to put Will Barton on the bench, bring Denny to start, and be that number 2-3 guy to Beal and Kuz.
Yeah.
So we can't depend on Porzingis to be healthy all season, right?
No.
60 games from him is a win.
Yeah. And Gafford plays hard, you know what I'm saying? But again, he's so limited. So when Bill signed the max, he signed it for the money, which is
Mm.
cool because that's a lot of bread. That's kind of the benefit of the max. I don't think Bill could get moved this year. I think he's gonna have to play this year out. But I do think there can become a world where at the end of this year somebody will use his services, but he can still get his money and be moved after this year. And then the Wizards can find what they need to have. But without a big leap from Denny and maybe like Johnny Davis showing that, he could be a good pairing with them, I still think this team is kind of where they're at. High 30-ish,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
35-ish win team. And then maybe after this year, we'll be like, the Wizards will be like, okay, well, you got your money. We're capped out. We really are capped out as a team. There's really no assets on this team that I think somebody will really trade for. Well, I do think the forwards, but it's kind of like to pick your taste for a specific team.
Yeah, you got to be
So,
like I can see Pop going after like a Rui Hachimura.
yeah, like it has to be that.
But
So I could definitely see at the end of this year if we see Washington in the same position, them finally saying, "Okay, Bill, well, you signed your supermax, you got your money, but now it's just beneficial for us to move off of you."
yeah, I think
And then they'll find
one
a
of the
trade.
teams to look out for over the next year or so is going to be Milwaukee and
I can see
Miami.
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee
I
and
can see
Miami.
Miami. So I could definitely see Miami in the world that they give up the picks
Tyler
and they give up
Hero,
the
a
stuff.
pick
Yeah.
to
I
bring
could
in a
definitely
Bradley
see that
Beal.
too. I could
And
definitely see that too.
then the Bucks, I think the Bucks have to look into something like, hopefully they have someone develop this year and they have some picks that they can be like, yo, Washington, y'all don't want that money. Is this when we start to look at Drew Holiday and be like, you might be expendable, bro? Here's Drew, here's some picks, here's Jordan Nwora. Go ahead and bring Bradley Beal over here.
Nah, that's right. Yeah, so, this team still just gives me like it's a very, very low ceiling, but it's just kind of like a average floor, competitive some nights, not. And they had a hot start last year, and Bill got hurt. We saw them sit him out and be like, oh, they kind of just took the L on that year.
Yeah, I think this will be one of those teams that if Bill is performing, they're gonna be competitive in games. But I think, like you said, man, low to mid 30s. I think I got them towards the very bottom of the East next year.
Yeah, I do. I am gonna call it. I do think this will be Bill's last year in Washington.
Cool.
Because I think the front office would be like, yo, it's just time to move off.
Yep. All right, the last team on the outside looking in is the New York Knicks. Finished 11th last year, made a couple of moves, bringing in Jalen Brunson like we talked about at the beginning of the segment. Biggest question with this team is, do you see them moving from number 11 to play-in?
Yeah.
Word. Okay.
Yeah. But it's not a strong play-in jump.
Okay. Because that would take them from last year. They were 6 games out of the play-in.
It's not a strong play-in jump. It's just their name will be floating around there.
Okay.
I don't think it's a 6-game gap this time. Like, I think eventually the Nets do have to make a move with KD at some point. Be very tough to see them actually play this year out.
That makes the Nets worse, obviously.
Yeah, that makes the Nets worse. The Hornets with Miles Bridges situation, that's probably going to cost us a couple games in it. It probably could, but I'd rather say that it'll cost us some games. So it's not going to be because Jalen Brunson moved the needle. It'll be because a couple other teams just kind of dropping off or there's question marks that should leave room for them.
Other teams just get worse.
Yeah.
I think the key for this team, this Knicks team next year is going to be between Emmanuel Quigley and Cam Reddish. Can Cam Reddish get healthy and be the player that everybody thought he was going to be coming into the league? Because I think he got the vote for like potential to be the most successful or the most well-rounded player coming out of that draft. Yeah. This is with the Zion, the John Morant, the Tyler Hero, the Darius Garland. He got the vote for like he could be the most well-rounded player of this draft. He's never been able to stay healthy over in Atlanta. They traded him over to New York to reunite him with RJ Barrett. So I think he's going to be the difference for them next year.
Yeah. I don't like him at all.
No.
Nah, not Cam Reddish. It's just
Oh.
it's Tibbs, bro. Like
I keep
it's
forgetting that
100%.
Tibbs is over there.
Yeah,
I keep
like right,
I
like
keep
it's
forgetting
Tibbs,
Tibbs is
bro.
over there.
As much as we could say, Cam Reddish could be a good guy. Well, when Cam was healthy and available, my man's wasn't getting minutes. You know what I'm
Facts.
saying? Like he wasn't getting minutes. It's the way that this man coaches, and the way that this man coaches, I think, does hold the players back because I don't think that they're bred in the way that that Bulls team he had was bred. I don't think these players fit that identity. I think that's what's frustrating this roster. I think that's what's holding this roster back from kind of reaching that full potential. And even when they reach their full potential, like yeah, they would be a play-in team. For sure, they wouldn't be a top six. But I just think these players don't match what he like. I don't think they match his identity. Even though I do think, like I said, Jalen Brunson's a good guard. You know, Julius Randle, good player, had an All NBA year 2 years ago. And we said, like I said, that was lightning in a bottle. That was him having a
Yeah,
great
we ain't never
year.
gonna see that again.
Yeah, yeah, that was lightning in a bottle. That was him having a great year. And then I think every frustration from that there is happening. I don't think Julius Randle and RJ Barrett, I think like they want to play good together, but I don't think that they can play good together. And
No.
then I definitely don't think that they can play good together under Tom Thibodeau. So I don't
Tibbs.
see.
Tibbs is the Cliff
Yeah,
Kingsbury of the NBA, bro. We hate you.
yeah, like I don't. Yeah, we don't. Like, bro, it's just this team. Like, give this team a new coach. Like, give like. I mean, they did have a backcourt where like Alec Burke and Evan Fournier was starting games. So like, I would hope that Jalen Brunson coming over could help them out. But people still got to remember, like, he has to hold his own against other starting guards without Luka being beside him
Yeah.
and without Jason Kidd helping him out. Like you've downgraded your entire situation. So now we got to see just exactly who you are and what you are made of. So this team is only going to go as far as RJ Barrett can lead this team too. And again, I still think they would be a play-in team at best.
I can see that. I think ceiling is definitely playing. The floor for these guys is like 12 to 13.
Yeah.
12 to 13 is going to be their floor.
Yeah.
And then their ceiling is the play-in. So I agree. Any final thoughts on the
Yeah.
teams on the outside looking in before we move on to the play-in?
Is there a team on the outside looking in that you think makes the leap and becomes a play-in team?
The Pistons.
I would want it to be the Pistons myself.
I want it to be the Pistons. Do I
Yeah, I
believe
would want
any
it
of
to be
these
the
teams on the outside looking in right now can become a play-in team? With the situations that's going on with the Hornets, that's the only exception to me why I would put the Knicks there. Is the Hornets situation. The Nets is probably the other one. But until something happens there, we kind of don't really know what's happening. So
Yeah.
I think a Kyrie-led team is still a pretty damn good team.
No, it
Kyrie
is.
and Ben Simmons.
No, it is.
Because it don't look like KD gonna play.
Nah. I
So
don't think so. Yeah, I don't I think all of these on the outside looking in stay there.
Cool.
Stay there. So
all right, that takes us to the next little grouping of teams, the play-in folks. That is the Hornets, the Cavs, the Nets, and the Hawks. We'll actually start off with the Hornets. 43-39 last year. Finished above 500. That's a win. 10th. Not a lot of moves in the offseason.
no. No, not a lot of moves. Mitch Kupchak, he said that when the offseason started. He said, don't expect us to go get nobody. He said it. He was like, we're not going to go get nobody. Priority number one the entire offseason was to re-sign Miles. And then Miles' situation happened. And then that held up the entire offseason. You could tell that even held up because if Miles' situation would have happened just a little earlier, we would not have traded Jalen Duren. We probably would have picked up a forward. Miles' contract and getting him re-signed was priority number one the entire time. And that was it. Like Mitch said it. He said, look, we're not going out. He was like, fans, we're not going out because Mitch's belief ever since he got here was draft and develop. Miles Bridges was his first draft pick as GM of the Hornets. So that's where his entire philosophy of this is how we're going to build this team. It's wrapped up in looking at Miles go from what he was his rookie year to now being a 20-point per game scorer. That's Mitch's belief process is you guys stay here, we'll develop you. This is what we're going to become, and this is how we're going to build a team. So Miles' situation threw it in the entire Hornets roster into a flux because in two ways to say it, Miles was the team's leading scorer in his fourth year. Granted, LaMelo and Terry were still 20, 19, 9. It wasn't like he had a gap, but Miles Bridges being a 20-point per game scorer from his rookie year, that's great. Like, you probably wouldn't have thought that. 2, if Miles Bridges is your team's leading scorer, you have a ceiling to how good your team is.
Yeah.
You don't want a team that Miles Bridges is actually your team's leading scorer. So that's a good, it's a double-edged sword. The funnier part to me is the only thing that actually changed with this roster as of now is we don't know what's happening with Miles.
Right.
And
everything else is pretty much the same.
Everything is the same. And because there's this question around Miles, people have thrown the Hornets down to be one of the worst teams in the East, which to me is kind of like
not at all. That's an insult.
It's honoring because I'm like, damn, I didn't think y'all thought this much of Miles before. I didn't think y'all thought that Miles Bridges was this important of a person that if his presence isn't on this team, we go from being one of the worst teams in the league. Like, people expect that type of drop off.
Because what are we talking? 20 something points that's gonna have to be distributed amongst a LaMelo Ball, who's taking a leap in his next year.
He's taking a leap.
A Terry Rozier, a PJ Washington who's gonna pick up 5 more of those points. Okay, Terry, bro, you gonna put the ball in Terry's hands even more? I'm okay with that.
But the big part with the Hornets was this is the beauty of having LaMelo Ball. The points ain't gonna go missing nowhere.
Not at all.
Like the point of this whole team is our defense sucked, and James Borrego sucked when it mattered. Like, that's the whole point of it. I told y'all last year, I don't care what our record looks like. Borrego's got to get out of the play-in and get into the first round.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, if he doesn't get into the first round, he's fired. Mitch said that. You don't get into the first round, you're fired. I don't care if you don't win the first round, you got to get there. Mitch fired the man, brought in Clifford, and his standard remains. You got to get to the first round, bro. I don't care how you get there. Mitch doesn't overstep his boundaries as a GM. He says, I'm going to go get you these people, and you do whatever the hell you want to do with them. So when he had his exit interview, he said, I thought the rookies were going to play more. Like, Mitch doesn't involve himself in the coaching. So with Steve Clifford, with Steve Clifford, when we had him before with Kemba was able to shine because he let his point guard play.
Mm-hmm.
James Borrego held LaMelo back a lot.
He showed
and we had a better, and we had a better defensive team. So the world expecting LaMelo to take another leap, and with Steve Clifford helping this defense out, Miles is going to be a Hornet. He's not going to get let go. I promise you, he's not going to get let go. Because if he was going to get let go, they would have already done it. They're waiting for everything else to handle this before he goes. So if he's got to take a 30, 40 game suspension, they'll do that and let the man come back at the end of the year. Like, people are going to have to get over that part. If they wanted him gone, they would have let him go a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Miles ain't going nowhere, but Miles is going to play for about 2 Kit Kats and a couple free instrumentals after this mess. He's not getting max money no more, bro. Like, he's not getting max money.
Kit Kats and some instrumentals from those tracks.
Yeah, he's not getting it. Like, he's not getting nowhere near a max contract no more. So he can stay with the Hornets. He's gonna get his little whatever restricted money he's gonna get, his maybe $8-9 mil a year, and then that's gonna be it. He's not gonna get nothing else.
So
unless some other team decides.
Looking at this team currently constructed, right? What do you want to see with this team right now? Minus Miles Bridges, because we ain't gonna see him for at least 50, 60 games. With this team currently constructed right now, what is your ceiling and what is your floor for your Charlotte?
Still a playing team. Still a playing team. I would really have to ask. I told y'all I'm expecting the All NBA year from LaMelo. And people be like, well, All NBA. Well, Trae Young was All NBA, and his team was a play-in too, and we had the exact same record.
Yep.
So let's not act like this is a thing right here. I expect a big leap from LaMelo. I expect Terry to play the 2 guard. I expect Gordon to be the 3, PJ to be the 4, and Plumlee to be the 5. I expect Book Knight. What's his name? I can't
Cody
remember his
Martin,
goddamn. No. Book Knight, Cody Martin, Kelly, and Mark
Kelly
Williams will
Oubre.
be our rotational
Okay.
pieces. So first 4 off the bench will be Kelly, Mark Williams, Book Knight, and dang it, Jalen McDaniels will also be there too. So PJ will be our 4, Gordon will be our 5, Terry's gonna stay the 2 with LaMelo, Plumlee's gonna start the games, Mark Williams will come in and fit in with them, and then you're gonna have Cody Martin and Kelly be the first 2 off the bench with Book Knight working his way in.
I like the Mark Williams
And
pickup, to be honest with you. I like
I
that
do
pick.
too.
I also like I like James Bouknight. That's very to me, seeing how Bouknight plays just made sense of why y'all let Monk go. Cause it was like, bro, we got a young dude we ain't gotta pay for a couple years who we could just see what he can do, who's the same player you are. Why
I would hope
you?
that I would hope that eventually the backcourt would be LaMelo and Book Knight. Because I think the way that this team is constructed and with Book Knight talent, I think Book Knight should turn himself into the team's leading scorer. LaMelo should stay around the 20-point per game range. And then whoever's third, let's say it's Miles, will be more like 17, 18 a game. But Book Knight has the talent to be a team's leading scorer. The bro really can get buckets. I don't expect much or nothing from Kai Jones, but like a good dunk every 2 weeks. Like bro really don't get the game down together. Like he's just an athletic dude. But Mark Williams is solid. I think he's gonna grow, especially with Plumlee. And he can actually shoot free throws, so we can have him in at the end game and keep presence. Yeah. But they usually put PJ at the 5, but that was with Borrego. So we'll see what Clifford does with him.
Especially when coming out of Duke, man. When you come out of a program like that, you're gonna be NBA ready.
Yeah. So there really is there shouldn't be a drop off. There was nothing that moved us to say, hey, we've added 4 or 5 wins to this team. Outside the fact that if Clifford is that good of a coach, like, can Clifford help us to, we were like 75% lose back-to-back games. Yeah, we always lost back-to-backs. Always lost back-to-back games. That was something that we just couldn't do good. And we always lost 2-day rest games. So we only had to have 1-day rest or 3-day rest. We always lost back-to-backs. So I just think that was coaching immaturity. So I'm hoping that Clifford and these guys just getting older would change that.
A lot of your close games too, which didn't make sense to me at the key moments you had LaMelo on the bench, which again, like you was talking about, going back to Borrego, holding him back. Like, why do you have LaMelo on the bench at the beginning of the fourth quarter when you're only down 5 points?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, he was too, like I said, Mitch was like, yo, you gotta, KD said it in regards to Ja. Memphis gave him the keys early and just said, go ahead and learn on the go. Borrego really tried to Borrego tried to micromanage LaMelo instead of just saying, hey, go take the keys and just have at it. Because then we would probably see the progression a little more.
Yeah.
But bro used to be out for like 10-minute stretches of the game. He'd be like, yo, what is going on, bro? Like, come on. But I don't think that's gonna happen with Clifford. Again, man, no slack to Borrego because one, the roster just got better. We did improve 20 wins to 40 wins, but this roster and getting blown out 2 years in a row and playing games is mad embarrassing. So yeah, bro, you had to go, bro.
All right, cool. Hornets ceiling and roof is pretty much the same, or their ceiling and their floor is pretty much the same. Is right at the same. Right at the play-in. So the next team we're going to go over is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Last year finished number 9, 44-38, man. What you got for the Cleveland Cavs? I really like this team. I know
picking up Abaji. Picking up Abaji is like, people are like, why didn't you pick up Colin? Why haven't they re-signed Colin Sexton? Well, they got Abaji. And Abaji will fit better beside Darius Garland.
Better shooter.
Better shooter, better defender, taller. Like, he's a clean player, bro. So the fit is well. Darius Garland snapped last year. I have a guy at work who says he thinks Darius Garland's performance last year was lightning in a bottle. He said he just thinks that was a 1-year thing. He doesn't think this is his consistent level, which I asked myself to having to reevaluate. You have Jared Allen, you have Kevin Love, you have Evan Mobley. I do think Darius Garland is a good point guard. Do not get me wrong, but some of the points he brought up made me be like, well, where can I rank Darius Garland in this? So specifically for the Cavs next year, I will really be watching them to really see like, okay, I do think you guys have the pieces to be a very solid, good team. And you know what? Y'all could be a 6 seed next year. Like you
Yeah.
guys really could make the leap to become a 6 seed. Like if this is who you are, I'm gonna expect growth. I'm gonna expect the Baji's a better fit. I'm gonna expect that you can do some different things with lineups. Like, yeah, bro, y'all could be a 6 seed and up next year. Like y'all really can.
I think coming into this next year, Darius Garland continues what he did last year. I personally don't think it was lightning in the bottle. I just think the way that he plays the game, he just gets it. Plus, I mean, when you have bigs like Larry Markkinen who can stretch the floor, Evan Mobley who can stretch the floor, Jared Allen who you can run unlimited pick and rolls with, and then coming off the bench with a guy like Cedi Osman, Kevin Love is still an elite big man shooter. I need everybody to hear that, elite big man shooter, before somebody comes and tries to cancel me saying he's not an elite shooter. Isaac Okoro, I think, takes the next step next year. Not a big one, but he's very much like what we would look at Sadiq Bey for the Detroit Pistons. He's a 3-and-D guy.
Offense, yeah. I mean, offensively, dude's got to kind of step it up though,
Yeah.
or he might not find himself in them lineups.
But I think Karis LeVert, I think they're going to figure out a way to get off of Karis LeVert next year to make some time for Abaji. To me, if I'm looking at this team, right, I can see them. I think their ceiling is the number 6 seed.
Yeah.
And then their floor is just going to be that play-in. They're going to be around the playoffs. It's just a matter of, are they going to be in the playoffs, or are we going to see them as a flash in the pan over there in the play-ins? So we'll see. They don't have a lot of depth. Raul Neto is their second string point guard.
Yeah. They don't. But I could definitely see them. You know, I wouldn't be shocked if they made themselves to a 6th, 5th seed. Again, this is a good team, man. I told you I was real high on Evan Mobley.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jared Allen's a beast, bro. And Darius Garland is a great point guard, man. So it's like this team and Abaji, it's just like a seamless fit, man. So I'm just very proud of this team and how they built themselves back up with Kevin Love still being on the roster and not moving off of him.
LeBron.
Yeah, because Kevin Love, they used to mean dude up for how he used to be mad at everybody, and so I'm glad this team is where they are. Like that's dope that they built themselves up together, coaching and all of that, man. So I feel like that's dope to see a team do that. Yeah. So I could definitely see this team moving their way from the play-in. They should really be doing nothing but going up. Because again, when we look at that 6 to 5 to 10 seed, it's 43, 40 win, 48, 46.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's very small window of a couple games. A lot of movements can happen within these teams, man.
Is it weird to say that I look at this team as the opposite of what the Washington Wizards are doing? Because I look at this team and I'm just like, this is an awkward looking team that makes sense together. And then I look at the Wizards and I'm like, this is just an awkward team. I don't understand it.
Yeah. I think Atlanta's got. I think the Wizards just got to find them another guard beside Bill, and just hope that Denny is the move, like who steps up, like we said.
We'll see 6'9" point forward.
Yeah.
All right.
But I definitely see the Cavs moving up, man. Big ups to what they did as an organization, getting that team together.
Cool.
So
Cleveland Cavs, man. That takes us on to
Atlanta Hawks.
Atlanta Hawks, Atlanta Hawks, 8th seed last year in the play-in. In the offseason, coming in, picking up DeJounte Murray in a hell of a trade with the Spurs. They didn't really have to give up. I don't think they gave up too much either.
No, I don't think they did.
It was a steal to go and get DeJounte Murray. They kept Bogdanovich. They found a way to keep John Collins. I'm surprised that they still got Collins.
Yeah.
I'm glad they do, but I'm still surprised they do. DeAndre Hunter should have a healthy year this year. When he was healthy last year, hell of a player, great 3-and-D guy. Onyeka Okongwu, I think, takes the leap next year. That makes it easier for them to find a trade suitor for Clint Capella.
For Clint. Yeah. For
But
Clint. I'm with you.
what you got on these guys,
Yeah.
man?
No, I'm with you, man. I think Onyeka does take a leap. I think he almost even takes the leap to the point where they just might have to be ready just to play him over Clint
Oh, damn.
and start to kind of move Clint back. Yeah, DeAndre Hunter, I like him at the 3. I'm still trying to ask myself, how much do I feel DeJounte Murray pairs with Trae Young? Because I know we always say, well, if Trae Young had a partner, if Trae Young could be off ball, how would that benefit himself? DeJounte Murray did have a really good year last year, All-Star. On paper, he's improved every year that he's been in the league, but he also played with DeRozan and Aldridge and kind of was hidden in the wings there. So how well will he fit in with a team where he's the clear number 2 guy? Maybe not even the number 2 guy. Like how well can he fit in? Because he's played with different types of guys like that before. This coaching staff, Trae Young did take a big, like he took his lump in the playoff. They went to the ECF that year before, lost to Milwaukee. Then they took that L to the Heat. And he said that was the hardest basketball he's ever had to play in his life. Now, granted, offensively that was tough for you, but you had Kevin Herter and you had Bogdanovich, shooters to space the floor. I don't think DeJounte Murray is that type of shooter. He's that type
Oh,
of
no.
defender that can help you
Not
on
at
that
all.
side. So how, like, I'm trying to really figure out like how much does DeJounte, like, yeah, DeJounte maybe makes your, well, he does make your team better because now you can stagger minutes, let DeJounte lead a unit, you know what I'm saying, off the bench. Like, what is that really gonna do for them? I'm kind of more concerned for Jalen Johnson on the bench and AJ Griffin, 2
Yeah.
Duke guys they drafted over the last 2 years. Both of them. I want to see how they work their way up this lineup, or if they could work their way up this lineup. Because this is kind of like another Cam Reddish situation, a guy with talent who's kind of finding himself, another Duke guy with talent, kind of finding himself buried in an Atlanta roster. So, like, I'm looking at them and I'm almost asking how they're gonna evaluate this talent. Like, are you Trey heavy to where you don't know how to develop the rest of these guys who were highly touted prospects coming out, or or maybe they just weren't that.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I don't like this team with DeJounte. Great move to bring a big name guy in like DeJounte Murray. Had an All-Star season last year.
I don't think we can say big name guy. I think that's the thing that people are messing up. Like, I don't think he's a big name guy.
I mean, if we're talking about All-Star last year,
yeah,
his name is there. I agree with you though. He's not a big name guy, but he bring in a guy like DeJounte Murray. I don't like the move. Right? Last year was one of his worst 3-point shooting seasons ever at 31%, 32%. Yes, you scored 20 points a game. Yes, 9 assists. Yes, 8 rebounds. That's great. But that was on a San Antonio Spurs team that wasn't even in a play-in. That was on a really, really bad San Antonio Spurs team. And then I look at how
barely
you fit
30
over
wins.
here.
Like what they had, barely 30 wins.
Yeah. So I'm looking at how you add value to this team, right? The only way I see DeJounte Murray adding value to this specific roster is if you go play small ball, you move him to the 3, you bring Bogdanovich in at 2.
And that's what I think will happen. That's what I think will happen is their small ball lineups will be Bogey, Murray, and Young. And, they are able to take Young off the court and still have DeJounte there as a ball handler to initiate.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, like, I really had to double myself back and be like, DeJounte's team didn't even make a play-in. He was named an all-star. But I myself penalized De'Aaron Fox for having outstanding numbers and being this outstanding talent, and your team isn't in the play-in.
It's the great performance, bad team effect that we talk about all the time.
So you even actually, I asked myself, DeJounte Murray was an all-star, but I don't even like to call him an all-star because now he's in the East and he's the second man. Will he ever see another all-star game? So that's it almost becomes frustrating because I could put him in a box here, being fair. Him and LaMelo was reserves that were brought in by the commissioner, right? But I think we could guarantee that LaMelo is going to be to another All-Star game.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't think we could. I don't think we could guarantee that DeJounte Murray is going to be to another All-Star game.
I think Melo
So
might
like,
even be one of the starters arguments for a starter next year.
and so that's what I'm saying. Like it's very easy. Like, and again, I don't want to take nothing away from his accomplishment, but it's just trying to put it in the context. You were still on a team that was not in the play-in. You were an All-Star, caliber guard, but you probably won't see another All-Star game in your career.
Yeah.
Because of how stacked the guards are in the East. Harden's gonna get a spot. Trey's gonna get a spot. Jimmy B's gonna get a spot. Yep. Like these other guards are gonna have spots for you the next couple years. Like if we see another one out of them, like if Trey and DeJounte are both All-Stars, then you know what? Maybe Atlanta is moving somewhere. They will have to be a 6 seed, but I don't see him having another All-Star level. I mean, he'll be an All-NBA type defender, but I'm not moved. I'm more moved by what we had the conversation to believe that if any of these teams in the play-in picture move up to a 6 seed, it's the Cavs over the Hawks.
Absolutely. I think the Hawks, if anything, scrape by and just. So I think best case scenario for this team, in my opinion, is you go 30 games, figure it out. If you ain't got it figured out by 30 games, you got to figure out a trade suitor for DeJounte Murray. You got to go look at these other teams that really need a DeJounte Murray type point guard. Because I don't think he fits here, right? Maybe you go and look at New York and be like, yo, DeJounte got 2 more years on his contract. $17 million this year, $16 million, something like that over the, next year. Y'all want to send us Evan Fournier? Alec Burks?
Yeah.
Like, because I think that makes more sense for this team. DeJounte Murray just does. If you go with a bigger lineup that puts Trae Young on the bench, do you want to sacrifice a Trae Young quality minutes, or you're going to guarantee some sort of offense being initiated, or where you can score on all 3 levels? Deep 3, floater. Or are you going to put a DeJounte Murray in the game and say, Trey, go chill on the bench because we know DeJounte is going to play a little bit more defense?
Yeah.
But is that what we need right now?
So I think that's all going to come down to coaching and player development. Because if Jalen Johnson is this talent sitting on the bench and AJ Griffin is this talent sitting on the bench that they're projected to be, then they should be fighting for those valuable minutes eventually here. But it may be a thing about coaching and development because, again, those are 2 guys whose names who I look at, like, you guys really shouldn't be right here if you are these good players. Because, again, Cam Reddish just walked out the door because you couldn't make room for him. So coaching and player development, I think, is the thing that it almost seems like they took the Spurs player development of DeJounte so that they didn't have to go do it with these players that's been sitting on the bench.
Right.
A fully potential Cam Reddish should potentially be your 2 guard right here, like in a flexible lineup.
6'7" guy, 6'7" 2-way player.
6'7" guy who you should have been putting in. So, I mean, you got Trae Young, one of the top guards in the league. So he's again shown he's going to help to lift this team up. I do think it's a quality roster. But asking myself and us asking ourselves, does DeJounte Murray push them to a 6 seed? And I'm just gonna be like, I would take the Cavs before I take them.
Yeah, I think the Hornets find a way to jump this team next year. We'll see this team around.
If you was to tell me eventually James Bouknight's potential came up and it was LaMelo Bouknight and I don't want to do it, either Terry accepts a bench role or we have to move off of him, I would take LaMelo and Book before Trey and Murray as a backcourt.
Terry could be a hell of a 6-man, man. We seen what he do as a 6-man. So
Terry would always finish games. Like I would still always have Terry finish games. But I would just I want Terry to take a back seat, be like, yo, we got to get Book to get to this point.
Yeah, it's like, look, bro, when we can bring you in second and third quarter and know you're going to go off for 20-something points, 15 to 20 points, and then finish the game in the fourth quarter, let's do that.
Yep.
But I do think this Atlanta Hawks team takes a step back next year. They're not going to be anywhere near the 7th or 8th seed. I think they'll be around 9 or 10 next year. 8th at best. At very best, they're going to be the same spot next year.
Yeah, I still have them in the same spot.
Cool. Last team in the play-in last year was the Brooklyn Nets, who are in all sorts of trouble right now. They don't know what's. I don't think nobody knows what's going on over there. Kyrie wants to go to LA. KD wants to go somewhere that's not Brooklyn. Cam Thomas is coming out saying stuff about Steve Nash during summer league games.
Crazy, bro.
Man, Patty Mills, Seth Curry, very guard heavy right now. Joe Harris with his big contract, who they're trying to get off of. Ben Simmons, who came over here thinking it was a better situation. They got TJ Warren, who hasn't played since the bubble.
I think so. The Nets paid for a championship window.
Mm-hmm.
That was the assumption with the big three. But it was all offense. Talent. I understand the Nets viewing, we acquired all of this. I'm not giving it up to go back into rebuild mode. But I think the problem is I think they're mishandling the cards that they have.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot go into the season with this stuff. You can move KD and Kyrie and get you 5 quality players.
Facts.
You can move Seth and get you another quality player or pick. You can literally dismantle the 3 pieces you have on this team and form another 8-man team. But the question that I ask when you do that is, do I think 8 really, really good pros can be coached by Steve Nash to keep me in a playoff window? And I don't think that's the case. I think that's why they're trying to hold on. I do believe KD made the ultimatum: get rid of Nash and the GM, or get rid of me.
Or get rid of me.
I don't believe the retire. Yeah, I don't believe the retirement stuff. We know that's not KD. But I did believe that the owner comes out, says, I'm standing behind the owner, and I'm standing behind the GM, and I'm standing behind the coach, Nash. So now it's like, bro, you got to get rid of him, and you cannot ask for the house. Go get all the picks in the world that you want, but you cannot expect to dismantle teams' entire rosters because of this. Now, KD's wrong too. Bro, you don't even got a no trade clause, and you trying to demand ways.
Facts.
Like you did this to yourself. You didn't even give yourself leverage.
They can trade you wherever they want to trade
wherever they want.
They can trade you to the Jazz for Donovan Mitchell right now.
Donovan Mitchell, like, bro, you can literally go anywhere, and you can do nothing about it. So that, like, on that end, that's KD's fault. Bro, like at least Harden had a no trade clause.
Yep.
He knew what to do for himself. You didn't do that. So when you did that, I'm like, yo, teams are gonna pull the Boogie Cousins. And you know what? You want to play hardball? It ain't like he got leverage or you got leverage.
Yeah.
So we'll just wait it out. I do see Kyrie playing out the year here at least because he specifically wants to go to LA, and I just don't think that. I think the Nets have just made it clear they're not going to give him up for that package. So I think he's just going to walk to LA next year, and that's cool. Like, you know, that's why he took his option. That's why I called bull on Kyrie when he was all like, well, I'm going to do this. Like, bro, you could have just declined the option.
And went over there.
And just went over there. Like, you could have just went over there, bro. But you call like, I'm like, okay, bro, $6 million, $35 million. I get it. Don't sugarcoat it, though. Like, but you call bull, bro, because you know next year they could give you the money you want. So go do that. Like,
I think Kyrie still ends up in LA this year. The Lakers are willing to add that second first round pick. They just came out on record saying that we're going to add that second one. I know Brooklyn doesn't want Russell Westbrook, but I mean at this point it's like if you can get for Kyrie 2 first round picks over the next 3 years, why not?
That's why I think they have to find a third team. They have to find a third team to do that.
I think they're trying to get off Joe Harris too.
Yeah. They're trying to get off Joe Harris, and I don't think the Nets really do want Russ. So I think they would take the picks and move Russ somewhere else in a 3-team trade. That's why I said, like, the Lakers just come off the picks, bro. Send Russ. The Nets don't want Russ. And just find a third team who will give you anything in the world to take Russ for the year.
Yeah.
And then just move on.
If anything, just negotiate a buyout with him. 40 mil, buy him out. You're essentially, really all you're doing is paying 40 mil for 2 first round picks. Why not pay 40 mil for 2 first round picks as opposed to next year Kyrie walking away for absolutely nothing after you paid him 20 mil?
Yep.
So it's like.
I think they just got to find another suitor. I think they just have to find a third person willing to come in and to take on that load.
Yeah.
To say with Joe Harris too. So KD, you got to find a third team. You got to find a third team that's going to give you the stuff that you want.
No one
I
wants
think
that.
they're
No one
trying
wants
to,
that trade
yeah,
up straight.
I think they want, he's trying to gut a roster for KD, and I think you need to find another way to get what you want and to get KD out of there. And then let Ben play out the year and see how it goes with Ben. And why you have pieces that other teams could use. You can get back the stuff that you want. But
Yeah.
he's not trying the GM is not trying he wants to get pieces to still be a championship contender. Like you already soiled that when you picked up 3 offensive guys who all had diva
And
mindsets.
then hope that
Yeah,
Andre Drummond could anchor your defense.
yeah, like you did that. And so that's your fault. You need to adjust the way that you're going to build this team. And you do need to find yourself another coach or make Steve Nash be a better coach.
Yep.
So
is it safe to say that the Nets at their ceiling is a play-in team,
yeah,
9-10 seed if Kyrie plays out this year and KD doesn't? Because
yeah,
Kyrie and Ben Simmons to me is still a play-in team. Y'all are still
no, it
winning
is
30,
yeah.
30, in your upper 30s.
Well, but Kyrie, they say Kyrie in his contracts also said he didn't want to play more than 60 games. And so I don't think he's going to play no more than 60 games this year, regardless. I don't see him actually playing the entire season. I do see Ben playing the entire season, like with his own health. So, but I do think just them two is enough to keep you in a play-in like area. I don't think it's 6 seed type team. Not with KD. Not with KD being out.
Cool.
So
Playing. So we're going to talk about the teams that were locked in last year into the top 6 spots. The Bulls, the Raptors, the Sixers, the Bucks, the Celtics, and the Heat.
So we did talk about them a little bit, like a good amount to start.
Yeah.
So just to kind of push past them, is there a team out of these do you see dropping?
The Raptors.
A lot of people are high. I think it's crazy because when I listen to people, everybody else is much more higher on the Raptors than we are. They feel like the Raptors is a lot almost contender-ish like team. I think the Raptors is a good team. I do think the Raptors is a good team, a well-coached team. But I also think they're the team that could fall out. I think, Siaka did have an All-NBA season this year. Fred VanVleet was almost borderline All-Star, All-Star this year. And Scotty Barnes Rookie of the Year. Like I do think that's a good, group together. I do think they're well coached. So I could see them still kind of remaining where they are, but I do think they are the team out of this that probably would take a little bit of a drop off.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I said I'm not too moved by Philly because the variables of them is the expectations of James Harden, the health of Joel Embiid, and I think Tyrese Maxey could be a really, really good guard, but he's having to play behind Harden, and I think that's kind of hindering what we could see him become.
Yeah, his
I think Tyrese
evolution
Maxey
isn't necessarily going to hit where it needs to be because of James Harden.
I think Maxey could be a lead guard on a team, a really good guard, great guard. I just think because he has to play with Harden, he has to play a certain way, and I don't think he's allowed to really snap off on both ends of the ball.
Honestly, man, when I look at 1 through 6 from last year, right, I moved the Raptors down into a play-in and the Cavs up into a spot that is around 5 or 6. Everything else from 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the Bulls staying within that top 6, I think stays the same. I think the Cavs find a way up there to top 6 to replace the Raptors, and I think the Raptors kind of make that fall down to the 7th or 8th seed.
Yeah, I can see that too. So contenders, 3 teams, because I don't we like to keep contenders precise and actually say 3 teams that you think, and this isn't finals contenders, we'll just say ECF. 3 teams that you think should be in the Eastern Conference Finals.
To me, the Bucks. The Bucks are still the best team in the Eastern Conference. To me, they're still the best team. I think they did definitely get a little bit older. I like the addition of Joe Ingles. Hell of an addition for them off the bench. Somebody who can create his own shot. Somebody who can create for everyone else. He was shooting one of the highest 3-point percentages before he got hurt over in Utah. No. So I think the Bucks still continue to be one of the better teams. Brook Lopez, they re-upped with Bobby Portis, brought back Wesley Matthews. Pat Connaughton over there is still a pretty valuable piece. right behind them, and when I say right behind them, I mean right on their heels, is the Celtics.
Got the
Um,
Celtics too.
that Brogdon signing to me was huge for them to initiate the offense. Everything that they
Yeah.
thought they would get in Dennis Schroeder earning his contract, they're gonna get in Malcolm Brogdon.
Yep.
Plus, he's a hell of a defender.
Can agree.
And then the Heat. I cannot deny
Still got
that
the
Heat
Heat.
defense, man. I think Kyle Lowry is still on the decline, and hopefully we see the emergence of a Tyler Hero taking that spot. Not necessarily the starting role, but adding a little bit more quality minutes to what we would normally see from a Kyle Lowry. And then, like you said
Yeah.
earlier in the segment at the beginning, man, them being able to keep Victor Oladipo and seeing him get healthy and seeing him have quality minutes in the playoffs,
Yeah.
I think the Heat are not too far behind.
So with the Heat, man, Nikolai Jovic, their rookie they picked up,
Ooh, okay.
I think he is like the Eric Spoelstra, Pat Riley mixed baby that's going to develop into a beast, bro.
Yeah.
I think the dude under them is gonna develop into a beast.
Nikola
6'11".
Jovic.
Yeah, bro. I think he's gonna develop with them into a monster, bro.
Uh-oh.
I think he's gonna be cold,
They have
bro.
him at forward too, a 6'11" forward.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah,
I
he's
actually
gonna.
really like Omer Yurvetskin.
Yeah, I think this like they got it. I don't think you want Tyler to like. I think Tyler being a six man could be a six man of the year candidate every single year. I think he could be a six man. I think they have to find a way to find them another guard so that Jimmy could play the 2-3 with like Victor Oladipo still on the court and find you another guard. I think that's what they need to do. Um, but again, it's Eric, like Eric's supposed to one of the better coaches and
Oh
Pat Riley and
man,
them.
I don't
Just
think
a
he
great
gets the credit that he
organization.
deserves. He does
Yeah,
not
it's
get the
just a
credit that he
great
deserves.
it's a great organization because they take these players and they turn them into, Caleb Martin, who snapped off with them, Max Strauss, who like was snapping off with them. Like they take these undrafted players and they make them great role players, people who can be effective in the games. And so then I look at Nikolai Yo, I'm like, yo, this dude could really be like, he could play the four beside Bam with Jimmy at the three.
Oh
And like
my
he's the type
goodness.
of guy who I look at like that. I think this dude's got a bag on him. I think he's gonna develop well with them. I got like little stock in him. Like, yeah, I'm with you. I absolutely agree. I think the three contenders in the East are the Bucks, the Celtics, and the Heat. And I hate the fact that like I remember so many people was throwing their Bucks are over with. Trade Jalen Brown. Like, nah, you got to stick through that.
Yeah.
That's it's gonna be a great. Like, you just got to give them that little bit of more time. That was their third Eastern Conference Finals together in their first Finals appearance. So it pays off. Like, I think we kind of jumped the gun on that a little bit with like how we want people to go. So I do agree there. Um, Philly, man, like I do feel bad for Embiid because 2 years in a row he should have been MVP, and 2 years in a row he got hurt, which took him out of the MVP race. So I'm like, how much longer can I expect that to keep going on? Um, I do think Philly has to have a minor identity change because I'm smelling Doc Rivers all over this
Oh
season
my
for them,
goodness.
man. Yeah, I'm
Oh
smelling
my
Doc
goodness.
Rivers all over this season for them.
I love you,
So I
Doc,
just
but I
don't.
don't think you're the guy to take them over the
No,
hump.
man, forget
I
that,
don't.
bro. Like, bro really did ride one championship this damn long. And
With
Frank
with
Vogel just
five
got one.
with
Yeah,
five Hall of Famers.
and Frank Vogel
Five
just
of them.
got one a couple years ago and got fired like a mother sucker. And his team was hurt. And you've been having great rosters and constantly underperforming. This team smells like a Doc team, bro. That's why I'm not gonna give them stock. Like Doc, I ain't trying to do it, but damn near Dr. Black Thibodeau out here, bro. Like,
Damn.
it's starting to get to that point. I have no expectation, like for his team to do nothing outside of be a steady team in the regular season and fold when he faces these other ones. So I just don't believe in the 76ers to be a contender. I believe the top three will be a contender. And then I believe like outside of those three, it would almost have to become a perfect world for the rest of these teams to find a way to work their way to be in the ECF
Yeah.
against one of these teams.
I mean, it's gonna be something along the lines of like injuries, just
Yeah.
unfortunate events that cause a lot of these teams to leap any one of these teams to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. But I don't know, man. I don't believe in Doc. You've proven it to us. You had one of the best rosters in the LA Clippers.
Multiple rosters, Zeus.
I mean, specifically
had
the one that
multiple
stands
rosters.
out to me that made me just say like, you're not that guy. Is you come off a championship with the Celtics. That team gets broken up, dispersed amongst the Brooklyn Nets, and then you go to the Clippers and you assemble this amazing team where you have a starting caliber roster as your bench.
Yep.
And you do absolutely nothing with it. And then you come
blowing
over
leads.
Then
like,
you get Paul George and you get Kawhi Leonard and you get some of the best young 3-and-D guys on your team in the Clippers. You couldn't do it. So then you go to a 76ers team who was a 3-point away from going to the NBA Finals and winning against that broken Warriors team.
Yep.
To do what? Nothing.
Now you're right. Yeah, Doc's got privilege, bro. We just gotta admit it. Doc's got roster privilege, bro. Doc's got roster privilege. And it would do no more service for me, to be honest, than to actually see Philly with Embiid and with Harden and then bum out so that they could move off of Doc and they could save themselves. But you want the hottest of hot takes? I think if Philly doesn't do it this year, Joel will find his way trying to get out. I think he's gonna try to get out.
I think Joel finds his way to Miami.
That'd be outrageous, bro.
Joel finds his way to Miami, and Miami says, yo, you want Bam? You want Tyler? You can have them. Take both of them.
That'd be wild, bro. I think if they don't make the Eastern Conference Finals, Embiid will find his way out. He will.
Embiid in Miami?
I think Embiid will try to find his way out, bro. I think he's gonna be crazy.
Let's play that game since we're pretty much done going over the Eastern Conference. Let's play the game of where does Embiid end up in the NBA? I'm thinking he stays in the East.
I think so
that's
too.
Just me, because there's no team in the West to me that's built to make a trade that's significant enough and still have them being an improved team with Embiid, if that makes sense. The Warriors have the best opportunity and the best pieces. Because you look at a Jordan Poole, you look at a Kuminga, you look at a Wiggins, you look at a Poole. You got a whole lot of draft picks. To be able to say, yo, I'm going to put Steph, Clay with Embiid? Oh, my.
Man, I don't know. When I'm looking at it, I don't think no. Hold on, let me see. Let me see. Who could realistically make a move for this man? I don't know. Because I do think he's on his option after this season. Something like that. His contract isn't too far. That's crazy. We got to hold that and bring that back. Because now I got to do some digging. Yeah, now I got to do some digging. But I do think Philly doesn't make the Eastern Conference Finals this year, Embiid's out. He's going to find a way to get out. He's going to find a way to get out, or Doc's going to get fired. Or Doc's going to get fired.
Or both.
Both.
Doc gets fired. They trade Harden again.
Yeah.
Embiid is out. Rebuild. Tyrese Maxey's the guy. I dig it, man.
Yep.
Any final thoughts for the Eastern Conference? Next year, we're going to come back with the Western Conference.
So reports came out, and I think it's just a copy and paste. But I do think Donovan Mitchell is going to make his way to the East. And I keep hearing Wizards, Knicks, and Hornets. Now, this is the only reason why I believe the Hornets. Mitch took over Miles Bridges' draft class.
Okay.
The year before, we had Rich Cho and Steve Clifford. That was the coach. Rich Cho, GM. Clifford was the coach. Clifford told Cho the entire time, take Donovan, don't take Malik. Was pounding the table for Donovan. Cho took Malik. They come back, and the first thing they say when they get these rumors, and he says it, is he would like, bring me Donovan. So dude's been a big Donovan believer from the jump. I I think
That's
the
a bad fit.
Jazz and with Danny Ainge, it's not nothing that Mitch is gonna give up.
No.
Mitch isn't gonna give up the stuff that I know Danny Ainge is gonna want for Don, especially after he got 5 picks for Rudy.
Oh
He's
yeah.
gonna ask for 5 for Donovan, and that's just against Mitch's nature to give up picks
Yeah.
that when he's a draft and develop guy.
Danny Ainge
So
is
I
trying to
don't
do
think,
the Boston Celtics over there in Utah.
yeah. And so like I know the guy at work asked me, he said, well, wouldn't you like LaMelo with Donovan? I said, yeah. I said it's like cool, but I was like, it doesn't move us as a team. I said, I want to see LaMelo and Book Night. I was like, I'd rather put my stock and see a LaMelo and Book Night and keeping our picks and opening up money before I want to bring Donovan over and try that. So, because it still puts us in the same situation. We're trying to get away from having 6'1" guards like Terry and Devontae Graham, and now we got a 6'7" guard, and we're trying to get a 6'5" guard in here. I don't want to move back and have to put Donovan beside who's still a defensive liability on that side.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have to do that part. So there is a world where I could see him ending up with the Knicks or with the Wizards. I think the Wizards could offer a lot of wing. Yeah, because I think the Wizards could just offer a lot of picks and wing players that they want to get off and just kind of leave
Like
Washington with whatever.
Denny, Kispert,
I think the
and then
Wizards
some
are willing.
picks.
Yeah, I think the Wizards will be willing to give up the picks that Danny Ainge will want. I don't think. Well, I do think the Knicks will be willing to give up the picks and everything for it, but I think it's going to cost them an Obi Topping, an R.J. Barrett, and all that other stuff. But then you got a backcourt of Brunson and Mitchell, and I don't think that's what you really want.
That's even worse than two
Yeah.
no defensive playing guards. I don't.
Yeah, but like
That's
you
a real
said,
Mike
to the
D'Antoni
jump,
offense.
but like you said to the jump, it's New York, it's their market. They're not really allowed to not have a name,
Yeah.
so they kind of have to live by that part. So,
Damn.
but I do think Donovan's coming to the East, and I would Knicks or Wizards. If I could play out the perfect Donovan Mitchell scenario, Utah spams up everything to put Donnie in the All-Star game, and then he gets traded at the break.
What you mean?
So that they can't get all the picks that they want.
Because it's hard for me to believe that. I don't know, man. It's real hard for me to believe that Utah's gonna trade Donnie this year, knowing that they're hosting the All-Star game.
That's why I said he's gonna play the All-Star game in here.
Play the All-Star game at home, and then in the offseason, that's when we see Donnie go. They have already got their money's worth for him. They're gonna start a whole new culture here with the new ownership. The new ownership I like is way better than the Millers that owned the team before. And then you got Dwayne Wade involved. I think Utah is headed for a big change. I don't think it's going to be a change for championship contending, but
everybody's in the Victor sweepstakes next year. Everybody's in the Victor sweepstakes next year. Victor's the dude. Victor's the clear-cut number one. So whoever gets the number one pick is getting Victor Wembanyama, and he's gonna change the outlook of a franchise. So that's the case. Everybody like the Detroit. Damn, let Detroit find luck in the lottery and get a Victor. Let Utah get off of Mitchell and get the first pick in the lottery. Let a Washington Wizards team find themselves like this. Whoever gets the number one pick is going to take Victor, and then this is going to be a wrap. Like that team's going to have a high upside.
Cool. All right, that's the Eastern Conference, man. I'm excited for next week's Western Conference talk. There's a whole lot to talk about in the Western Conference.
It really is, man. It's good stuff.
All right, man.
It's good stuff.
We will catch y'all next week. Make sure to like, subscribe, share. Hopefully, we'll get this going on all of your streaming platforms so you can listen to it. You ain't got to just watch it. But we'll catch y'all later next week.
We out.